All right. Welcome to Dhammapalooza. We have a few people talking in the chat already, but as usual, we'll give it a couple of minutes for people to come in. Welcome, Visaka and Ian. Welcome, Abby and Jake. Welcome, Frank or Diego. As usual, we're giving time for people to come in before we get started. Hello, Rupa. Welcome. Visaka has an interesting first question. I'm going to actually have to break out a sutta to go over explaining some of that, because it's quite an interesting question. All right, let's give it one more minute or so, then we'll get started with our chant. First Dhammapalooza of the new year. In a couple months, Dhammapalooza will be 3 years old. His Dhammapalooza started end of March, beginning of April 2020, the beginning of the pandemic. Hello, Yankee. Welcome. Hello, Isla. Welcome, Steve. Hello, Julie. Welcome. Okay, let's get started. We have a good amount of people. We'll get, let me share. I think the chanting today will be Karaniya Metta Sutta. That's a popular one. Everybody knows that one. Well, almost everybody. But since we can share it on the screen, you don't need to know it. If you don't know it. Let's see, how do I minimize this here? There we go. So you can fully see it. Karaniya Matta Kusalena. Oh, let me try Namo Tassa first. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Karaniya Matta Kusalena Yang Tang Santang Padang Abhisamecha Sako Ujucha Sujucha Suvacho Chasamudu Natimani Santus Sako Cha Subarocha Appakicho Cha Saloka Vutti Santindriyo Cha Nepako Cha Appagabbo Kulesu Nanugiddo Nachakudang samachere kinshi yena venyu pareyu pavadeyung sikinova kemeno hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta ye keche panabutati tasava tavarava anavasesa dighava ye mahantava majjima rasika nukatula Ditava yeva ditta ye chadure vasante avidure bhutava sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta naparo parang nikubetta nyatimanyete katachinang kanchi vyaro sanapatika sanya nanyamanyassa dukkamichcheya mata yata niyang putang ayusa ekaputang anurake Evang pisabba bhuttesu manasang bhavaye parimanam mettang cha sabba lokasming manasang bhavaye parimanam udang arhocha tiriyancha sampadang averang asapattang titang charang nisinova sayanova yavadassa vigatamiddo etang sading aditteya brahma metang viharang idamahu Titincha nupagama silava dasanena sampano kame suvinaya gedang nahi jatu gambasyang punarititi etena satchavajena sottime hottu sabpada. All right, English. When skilled in good, wishing to attain that state of peace should act thus. One should be able, straight, upright, obedient, gentle, and humble. One should be content, easy to support, with few duties, living lightly, controlled in senses, discreet, not impudent, unattached to families. One should not do any slight wrong, which the wise might censure. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long or large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless, loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment. Whether standing, walking, or sitting, lying down, or whenever awake, one should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here. Not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. By the power of this truth, may we always have well-being. Sadhu. All right. Hey, Eddie Spaghetti. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. All right. So, friends, it is Dhammapalooza. That means it is Monday night, 8 p.m. New York time. This is the time for the Maggasekha community to come together in a 2-hour festival of Dhamma, which includes all kinds of Dhamma-related activities, from chanting to meditation and everything in between. So, those of you who might be new, oh, hey, Sin. Good to Sin. I've usually been catching you towards the end of Dhammapalooza. It's good to see you at the beginning today. So anyway, back to the introduction. So Dhammapalooza is, as you can always see, I never put the title. I only put the name and the date because I don't know what is going to happen during the Dhammapalooza. Dhammapalooza is a community guided event, meaning that I could always make up a topic and just come and just give the topic, but that's kind of boring, and it's not really challenging, and it's more interesting to have a more community engagement or conversation, a back and forth. Um, so that being said, the next couple of minutes in the chat, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, if you have any topics you'd like me to discuss, give a little talk on, or if you have anything you'd like the community members to discuss, right? You can put that in the chat. And so we'll give that a couple minutes. And if nobody has anything, then maybe we'll do some Anguttara roulette today. There's a good number of people. We can have some fun playing some sutta roulette. But Elaine has a question. This is an interesting question. I've never been asked this question, and I've never actually contemplated it very deeply. Hey, Anthony, welcome. Anthony, did the morning live stream cut out? Yes, YouTube, again, just killed my live stream. Just stop. Nothing wrong on my end. Phone didn't crash. YouTube didn't crash. YouTube just decided, well, I don't know. The algorithm, whatever, just decided it didn't like my live stream, and so it killed it. That's the second time it happened. Hopefully it does not become a habitual occurrence. But Visaka/Elaine has a question. I would like to jump right in with a question, please. How much mastery did the Buddha have over his own body, if any? What was the nature of this mastery? Thank you in advance for your response. Oh, John and Audrey, this is a tough question. It really is. Only because of one thing. In the MahaPariNibbana Sutta, which I'm going to bring up. Let's see. Life. All right, let me share. Yes, Happy New Year, everybody. Let me share here. So normally, I would say that the Buddha's body was just like our body, right? The Buddha, the body is subject to cessation, subject to falling apart. We see in suttas where the Buddha has to is elderly and having various bodily issues and things like that. And so you can say, well, in this way, then he doesn't have any more power than the rest of us. Well, how could he, right? In Natalakana Sutta, it says, if this was mine, me, myself, I would have full mastery over it. However, you have MahaPariNibbana Sutta, where the Buddha speaks on the ability to keep living because of his vast powers. So this is in this section here. This is a huge sutta. We're not going over the whole sutta. I'm just going to specific spots. But anyway, so it says, this section here, the Buddha is talking about, it says, it would not be appropriate for me to become fully extinguished before informing my attendants and taking leave of the mendicant Sangha. Why don't I forcefully suppress this illness, stabilize the life force, and live on? So this life force, surrendering the life force, let's see here. Oh, We have to see one of the reasons why the poor Ananda gets a lot of flack um, for not getting the hint, right? So we have Mara. Mara comes and says, "Well, in the beginning, when I first came to you and I said, well, you become awakened, that's good. That's good and all. Why don't you just go away? Renounce the life force, Parinibbana. See you later." And the Buddha says, "No, no, Mara. I will not do so until I have the fourfold assembly who is learned, educated, practicing well." Right? Fourfold assembly, men and women monastics, men and women lay people. Right? So the Buddha says, "I won't do that until this." And so then fast forward 40 plus years, Mara comes back and says, "Oh, you have it this time. Time to renounce the life force." MahaPariNibbana Sutta is great. It's if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it because it's one of the few suttas that reads like a story. Like most of the stuff in the MahaPariNibbana Sutta, even if you are brand new to suttas, you'll understand. You can get. There's some stuff obviously you won't be able to, but if you're brand new, but mostly it's a story. Now is the time for the Buddha to become fully extinguished. Poor Mara. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. I'm trying to find the one with Ananda. So basically the Buddha says to Ananda, kind of gives him a hint. And the hint was for him to stay around longer, right? To kind of force the life force to stay around longer. And I think possibly it was like for another 1,000 years or something like that. I don't suspect that. Let me see if I can make this a little bit easier on myself. Side by side, here we go. Tune to the Smith. So here's the Buddha saying the final extinguishment of the realized one will be soon. 3 months from now, the realized one will be finally extinguished. It's not possible for the realized one, for the sake of life, to take back the life force once it has been given up like that. Here we go. Oh, this is it, I think. Let me see here. Whoever has developed and cultivated the four bases of psychic powers, made them a vehicle, a basis, kept them up, consolidated, and properly implemented them, may, if they wish, live on for an eon or what's left of an eon. The realized one has developed and cultivated the four bases of psychic power, made them a vehicle and a basis, kept them up, consolidated them, and properly implemented them. If he wished, the realized one could live on for the eon or what's left of the eon. But you didn't get it. This is Buddha saying to Ananda. Even though I dropped such an obvious hint, such a clear sign, you didn't beg me to remain for the eon or what's left of it, saying, Sir, may the Blessed One please remain for the eon. Could you imagine if Ananda said this? The Buddha would still be alive today. Right? Although the word used for eon is a very, you don't really know how long that is. I mean, I've heard people say it's basically the length of the universe, like the time between a big bang and a big crunch. So the Buddha could be around for much longer, or it could have been just a couple of thousands of years. I don't know. But most likely it would mean that Buddha could be around essentially till the end of um, this cycle of the universe contracting and expanding. Sir, may the Blessed One please remain for the eon. May the Holy One please remain for the eon. That would be for the welfare and happiness of the people, out of compassion for the world, for benefit, welfare, happiness of gods and humans. If you had begged me, I would have refused twice, but consented on the third time. Therefore, Ananda, the misdeed is yours alone. The mistake is yours alone. Okay. I can, Steve, I can put a link to it. So I think that's the best, that section from the MahaPariNibbana Sutta is probably the best way to answer this question. Um, the Buddha has the ability to keep it going for the eon. All right. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. Moving on to the next one. Abby has a question. If you take on the role of owning an animal and obviously neglecting it, what would that look in the long run? What would that look in the long run? Well, that falls under that line in the Dhammapada, whereas there are two fools: a person who does not take a responsibility that is theirs, and a person who takes on a responsibility that is not theirs. If you take on the responsibility of owning an animal, then you're responsible to take care of it. Same thing if you get married, you have a partner, you have responsibilities to that partner, you have responsibilities to your parents, you have responsibilities to children you bring into the world. It's the same kind of thing there. You have responsibilities to make sure that that animal is taken care of. And if you can't, then you need to give it up. And that might not be easy. So sometimes it's easier to kind of be out of sight, out of mind. When I worked for Child Protective Services, this was a lot of the calls that we had. Very, very rarely was it like outright abuse of children. A lot of times it was neglect. And it was because the parents were busy, or they were avoiding something they didn't want to deal with, or obviously there was also mental illness and drug use and stuff like that as well. But you know, if you're obviously neglecting another being, it takes some foresight and some wisdom and ability to say, okay, well, you know what? I'm not taking care of this being correctly. They deserve better. I'm going to let them go. Sin says, I vowed in the new year to read suttas every day and also try to see everything with my heart instead of my head. How about heart and head? A balance of the two is good. If you're too much in your head and you're trying to work on your heart, that's fine. But I think the balance of the two is perfect, right? That's why you have the three words that mean mind: chitta, mano, and vijnana. Chitta is the affective, emotional aspect of the mind, which is why you have Thai Forest translates it as the heart. Um, Mano is the intellectual aspect, the rational aspect of the mind, right? So even in Buddhism, we have these two parts of the mind. These are two things that, too much reason, too much rationality is actually not good. Too much emotionality is not good either. Right? It's important to find a balance. But read the suttas every day. This is very good. Don't overdo it. If you're reading a long sutta, just read like a page or two. Right? Don't try to overdo it. Not only because you won't be able to keep that up over the long distance if you're trying too much. Like that's one of the biggest issues, right? That we get where we have zeal and at first and we're excited and we do a lot. But then over time, less until we don't do it. So what I would say is do a little bit and build from there. It's also important not to read too many suttas too quickly. You want to be able to kind of ruminate, right? What you've read, instead of just kind of blasting through them as quickly as possible. So ruminating on what you read is important, especially in the beginning. All right. Diego says, I'm in the process of memorizing Itipiso. That's the beginning. That is the crest of the standard. On what occasion is normally chanted? Before every chanting. It's probably the most commonly chanted thing in Theravada Buddhism. Is it okay if I just do it whenever I have the opportunity, like in the mornings? Yeah, that's fine. Join us for morning monastery experience, 8 a.m. We do it every morning. One day in Pali and the next day in English. So Itipiso is the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. This is very common. Every place I've ever been to that does morning chanting almost always starts out with Itipiso. Right? So it's very, very common, very important in terms of chanting. So that's fine. Yeah, you chant it. You know, when it comes to a lay person, it comes to your own individual practice, find what works for you, right? There's no like you must chant X, Y times a day. That's, you know, there could be recommendations, but do what works for you, right? Do what it makes you. I like to memorize things and chant things that are that impact me, that I have a connection with, that really speak to me. Right? There's a couple of things like those of you who are familiar with the Bhavana Vandana, the Bhavana daily chanting. The chanting that I made in the Maggasekha chanting book is probably about 60% that. But there were some things that we would chant every day at Bhavana that I just didn't make sense, didn't connect with me, I didn't feel like doing it. It's not really my thing. So I took those out. I kind of made my own arrangement. And you know, which is what every monastery and everybody does this. This is the way it usually, you know, this is normal. So yeah, so chant it, chant when and what really calls to you and feels most appropriate and helps you keep that zeal and that happiness and desire to keep practicing. The Itipiso is what the Buddha, what they called the crest of the standard. Right? It's the Buddha's banner. It's what to look upon when you're afraid. You see from the sutta, crest of the standard. Oh, Douse, welcome. I see we're at the end of the chat. So why don't we do some Anguttara Nikaya? Because we did Samyutta Nikaya last week. So why don't we do some Anguttara Nikaya roulette? So, for those of you who have not experienced this before, essentially how this works is I will ask for a number between X and Y. And then I say go. And then you guys type in whatever number you want. Whoever gets up first is the number I pick. Unless they have better internet and they're up first all the time, then I might have to fix that, not go with the same person over and over again. And then choose another set of random numbers for the sutta. And that brings us to a random sutta, right? So every time we do this, not only is it kind of fun and active because we're all kind of getting into it, but it also gives us a wide range of topics of suttas, right? So we have no idea what sutta is going to come up, right? So this is why it's roulette. Oh, Dharma learner, welcome. So we are in Anguttara Nikaya. Anguttara Nikaya has 11 sections. Book of ones to book of 11s. Right? Anguttara Nikaya is the book of numbered. So if you want to learn about the Four Noble Truths, where are you going to go? The Book of Fours. You want to learn about the Noble Eightfold Path, you go to the Book of Eights. The Eight Worldly Winds, Book of Eights, etc. So like this is one of those places where if you know a number, what are those 7 such and such things? Let me look in Anguttara Nikaya, see if it's there. Hello, Dharma learner and Johnny Giacomoco. Welcome. So now I'm going to make a little break here. So a number between 1 and 11, and 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, what did I do? Oh. All right, John has come in with 6. So we're in the book of sixes. What could we find in the book of sixes? That's going to be interesting. All right. So a number between 1 and 70. A number between 1 and 70. Remember, wait until you hear me say go. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, 7. There we go. Let's see. Now let's see what we have. Unworthy of offerings. Anguttara Nikaya 6.7. A thoroughbred. Let's see. This small? Not too small. Mendicants, a fine royal thoroughbred has 6 factors that with 6 factors is worthy of a king, fit to serve a king, and is considered a factor of kingship. What's 6? It's when a thoroughbred can endure sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. And it's fast. A fine royal thoroughbred with these 6 factors is worthy of a king, fit to serve a king, and is considered a factor of kingship. In the same way, a mendicant with 6 qualities is worthy of offerings, dedicated to the gods, worthy of hospitality, worthy of religious donation, worthy of veneration with joined palms, and it's the supreme field of merit to the world. Now, this is the part of Itipiso Bhagava that is the qualities, or part of the qualities of the Sangha. What's 6? It's when a mendicant can endure sight, sound, smells, taste, touches, and thoughts. A mendicant with these six qualities is worthy of offerings dedicated to the gods, worthy of hospitality, worthy of religious donation, worthy of veneration with joined palms, and is the supreme fields of merit for the world. Let's go back to the second one. Let's see. Let's go back to the first one, actually. Ah, yeah, so this is a good one. So I've heard at one time the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove and not Nathapindika's monastery. There the Buddha addressed the mendicants. Mendicants, venerable sir, they replied. The Buddha said this. Mendicants, a mendicant with six qualities is worthy of offerings dedicated to the gods, worthy of hospitality, worthy of religious donation, worthy of veneration with joined palms, and is the supreme fields of merit for the world. What six? It's a mendicant who, when they see a sight with their eyes, is neither happy nor sad. They remain equanimous, mindful, and aware. In the seeing, only see. When they hear a sound with their ears, a smell, an odor with their nose, they taste a flavor with their tongue. When they feel a touch with their body, when they know a thought with their mind, they're neither happy nor sad. They remain equanimous, mindful, and aware. Mendicant with these six qualities is worthy of offerings dedicated to the gods, worthy of hospitality, worthy of the religious donation, worthy of veneration with joined palms, and is the supreme field of merit for the world. That is what the Buddha said. Satisfied, the mendicants were happy with what the Buddha said. All right. So, a number between 1 and 11. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Johnny Giacomoco comes in and with 4. So we are in the book of fours. All right, so let's do a number between 1 and 150. In 3, 2, 1, go. 22. All right. Oh, this is the second time Julie's got the quick draw. So we'll see if Julie has good internet. She keeps coming up first. But we're on 22. All right, first 50. Chapter Urvela. At Urvela 2. Mendicants, this one time when I was first awakened, I was staying near Urvela at the goat herd's banyan tree on the bank of the Naranjara River. Then several old Brahmins, elderly and senior, who were advanced in years, had reached the final stage of life, came up to me and exchanged greetings with me. When these greetings and polite conversations were over, they sat down to one side and said to me, Master Gotama, we have heard this. The ascetic Gotama does not bow to old Brahmins, elderly and senior, who are advanced in years and have reached the final stage of life, nor does he rise in their presence, nor offer them a seat. And this is indeed the case. For Master Gotama does not bow to old Brahmins, elderly and senior, who are advanced in years and have reached the final stage of life, nor does he rise in their presence nor offer them a seat. This is not appropriate, Master Gotama. Then it occurred to me, These venerables don't know what a senior is or what qualities make you a senior. Mendicants, suppose you're 80, 90, or 100 years old, but your speech is untimely, false, meaningless, and against the teaching or the training. You say things at wrong time which are worthless, unreasonable, rambling, and unbeneficial. Then you're considered to be a childish senior. So the word here is that is being translated as the senior is Tara, like Tara, like 10 years a monastic, or Teri for bhikkhunis, or Mahatera, 20 years as a monastic, or Mahateri. All right, so this is this word. Let's see if oh, maybe I'm wrong. No, there it is, Terang. There we go. But anyway, so this is you are a childish tarot. Balo. This is actually foolish. Bala. Right? Oh, no. Yeah. Young in years, ignorant or foolish. That's funny. I like that translation. A childish senior. Now suppose you're a youth, young, black-haired, blessed with youth, in prime of life. But your speech is timely, true, meaningful, and in line with the teaching and training. You say things at the right time which are valuable, reasonable, succinct, and beneficial. Then you'll be considered an astute senior. Pandito Taro. There are these 4 qualities that make a senior. What for? A mendicant is ethical, restrained in the monastic code, conducting themselves well and seeking alms in suitable places. Seeing danger in the slightest fault, they keep the rules they've undertaken. They're very learned, remembering and keeping what they've learned. These teachings are good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, meaningful and well phrased, describing a spiritual practice that's entirely full and pure. They are very learned in such teachings, remembering them, reinforcing them by recitation, mentally scrutinizing them, and comprehending them theoretically. They get to 4 jhanas, blissful meditations in the present life that belong to the higher mind, when they want, without trouble or difficulty. They realize the undefiled freedom of heart and freedom by wisdom in this very life, and they live having realized it with their own insight due to the ending of defilements. These are the 4 qualities that make a senior. The creature with a restless mind speaks a lot of nonsense. Their thoughts are unsettled, and they don't like the true teaching. They're far from seniority with their bad views and their lack of regard for others. But one accomplished in ethics, learned and eloquent, that wise one is restrained when experiencing phenomena, discerning the meaning of wisdom. Gone beyond all things, kind and eloquent, they've given up birth and death, and have completed the spiritual journey. That's who I call a senior, who has no defilements. With the ending of defilements, a mendicant is declared a senior. It does every can everybody else read when I can read the suttas when I am sharing the screen? Is this I feel bad for Steve having trouble with this. Although Steve, actually roulette should be easy, right? Because as soon as you go back to Anguttara Nikaya, and then as soon as I click, you click, and then so it actually should be quite easy to for Anguttara Nikaya or Anguttara roulette. Yeah, it's a bit fuzzy, but readable, at least from what I can see when I yeah. I could. I am pretty oh, actually on my screen it is pretty big. I could do that. That may, that might make it a bit easier. Ah, Johnny Giacomoco has a good question. How do I get to definitions of words to come up? So you scroll all the way to the top until you see this. See views, click on views, and then you see activate Pali word lookup. And you probably have it at none. You put it to English. And if you want, you can also change how the Pali comes. Side by side, line by line, plain means just English. And then you just click on it once and it should come up. Yeah, Sutta Central is the best. Nothing comes close to Sutta Central. I mean, even on our weekly Sutta readings on the Discord, some people complain about Bhante Sujato's translation, which I don't think is that bad, to be honest with you. But the great thing, this is the only place on the internet that I know of that you can have the Pali and the English together, not just for the suttas, but also for the Vinaya, which is amazing. Vinaya translated by Ajahn Brahmali, which is a great translation as far as I can tell. Now, Sutta Central is great for this. It's like just like, well, I don't know what Bhante Sujato is meaning by this translation, so let me look right at the Pali myself. How about that? Nice and easy, right? You don't get that with any other translations, right? This is amazing that you can have both right together. And this is something that I do. Like I read the suttas. I've read through all the suttas in English, right? Already, all 5,000 pages. Now I'm reading through them like this with the English and the Pali together. And, I don't suggest that you guys do that. If you want to, you can. But as somebody who's, learning Pali and hopefully eventually to be totally fluent in Pali, where I can just read Pali like I read English, this is important for me. This is great. And plus, it also, if I see something I can the Poly's right there, and I can say, "Oh, let me look at the Poly. What is this? Oh, okay, this is what he's translating, right?" Because I don't find one person's translation to be perfect. Bhikkhu Bodhi, Tanasaro, whoever, right? Each person's translations has its own kind of idiosyncrasies and its own purpose and point and context and things like that. Right? So if you go with just one, hmm, I don't know, you're getting a full picture, to be honest with you. You're not, because Pali words have a lot of different meanings and context, and it's quite interesting in that way. I've always been as clear as day before I stopped linking. But I think my karma must have it right. So as soon as I stop linking, then it doesn't show. Ay, ay, ay. All right. Anyway, So we read this. So let's go back to. So Steve and anybody else who has trouble with this, Steve, you can. Here's the link. This is going to be our basis, right? This is where we're always going to come back to this. Keep an eye on the top here. See? If you keep an eye on the top, it's always easy to come back. Yeah, Ian says there's also a digital Pali reader, but it's not as straightforward. No, it's not, and it's also not as easy to look up the Pali words. Sutta Central just makes it so much easier. I'm like the first generation of monks learning Pali, where I don't have to have this gigantic Pali dictionary. I saw seen one at Bhavana's library. This gigantic Pali dictionary, and I'm just like reading. I'm like, oh, what the heck is every other word? I have to like look up, and I was like, okay, let me look in the book again. Like that would take forever. Although, admittedly, I also do believe that I'm probably disadvantaged in learning by not doing that. Even though it would take longer, I think there is something to because I don't have memorized the proper order of all the Pali words, of the Pali letters. It's not like English, right? It's quite different. So you actually have to memorize the 33 or however many letters, the order that it's put in the dictionaries. And I've never had to because I've never had to use one of those big dictionaries, at least not much. And so Sin has a good question. I just was searching Pali on Duolingo app. There's none. Darn it. Um, I suspect that they probably don't have dead languages on Duolingo. Do they have Latin? If they have Latin, then maybe I could say no. Maybe there's not. But I don't know. I've used Duolingo many times for Spanish. But anyway, let's get back to. Um, we have probably another 7 minutes or so before we'll do our meditation. Let's get back to at least one more roulette. So, number between 1 and 11 in 3, 2, 1, go. They do indeed have Latin. Now that's interesting. Didn't Johnny? I think Johnny got last time got four. Yeah, he did give. You really like the Book of Fours, don't you, John? All right, we're gonna go with Ian's number one. Hi, Valerian. Are you kidding me? They really have. That's Game of Thrones, isn't it? Or A Song of Ice and Fire, if I'm not mistaken. I read those books back in the day. Um, Johnny Giacomoco is like Anthony knows the suttas. He knows exactly what he wants. So look, we're gonna try to get 444. All right. Maybe we'll do 444, but let's do a second number in three. Between oh, where was that? We're at Book of Ones, right? Didn't I say one? Because we have four at the same time. All right. Yeah, Book of Ones. Number between 1 and 80 in 3, 2, 1, go. 55. All right, Douse comes in. Let's see. What do we got? 55. The finger snap. Ooh. Finger snap's good. The chapter on a finger snap. So might as well just go through the whole thing. All right. The mind mendicant is radiant, but is corrupted by. Ooh, a very famous line. Right to the famous line. That's right. I forgot. But is corrupted by passing corruptions. An unlearned ordinary person does not truly understand this. So I say that an unlearned ordinary person has no development of mind. The mind mendicant is radiant, and it is freed from passing corruptions. A learned noble disciple truly understands this, so that the learned noble disciple has development of the mind. If a mendicant cultivates a mind of metta, as long as a finger snap, they're called a mendicant who does not lack jhana, who follows the teacher's instructions, who responds to advice, and who does not eat the country's alms food in vain. How much more so than those who make much of it? If a mendicant develops a mind of metta, even as long as a finger snap, they're called a mendicant who does not lack jhana, who follows the teacher's instructions, who responds to advice, who does not eat the country's alms food in vain. How much more so than those who make much of it? If a mendicant focuses on a mind of metta even as long as a finger snap, they're called a mendicant who does not lack jhana, who follows the teacher's instructions, who responds to advice, and who does not eat the country's alms food in vain. How much more so those who make much of it? Mendicants. Intention shapes all phenomena. Whatsoever that are unskillful, part of the unskillful, on the side of the unskillful. Intention, and the word here, what's the word he's using for intention? No, I don't know. I think maybe Bhante Sujato's translation. I don't know where he's getting intention here. Intention is the first of those phenomena to arise, and unskillful phenomena follow right behind. There's mano. This is an interesting one, right? The intention phenomena here is Dhamma. Same as when you say sabbe Dhamma anatta, all phenomena are not self. Or continuing on. Mendicants, intention shapes all phenomena whatsoever that are skillful, part of the skillful, or on the side of the skillful. Intention is the first of those phenomena to arise, and skillful phenomena follow right behind. Maybe it's mind, but he's using it as intention. Mendicants, I do not see even a single thing that gives rise to unskillful qualities or makes skillful qualities decline as negligence. When you're negligent, unskillful qualities arise and skillful qualities decline. Don't worry, Johnny. I think we're going to read 444 after. You don't even know what 444 is. All right. Well, now I'm definitely interested to see what 444 is going to be. Mendicants, I do not see a single thing that gives rise to skillful qualities or makes unskillful qualities decline as diligence. When you're diligent, skillful qualities arise and unskillful qualities decline. Mendicants, I do not see a single thing that gives rise to unskillful qualities or makes skillful qualities decline, like laziness. When you're lazy, unskillful qualities arise and skillful qualities decline. All right, friends. So I'm going to bring it up. There is one time in the suttas, only one time where the Buddha approves of being lazy. Does anybody know that one time that the Buddha approves of being lazy? Oh, Douse. Douse comes in with the win. All right, yes. Hello, Julie. Thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. Yes. The Buddha says that the only time you should be lazy is in a badly explained Dhamma and discipline. So yes, if there's a Dhamma and a discipline that teaches you to kill living beings and commit adultery and steal and lie and things like that, then you should be lazy in that. That's the only time the Buddha approves of being lazy. So we have the section, the chapter with Rohitassa. 444 is valuing anger. The second. Mendicants, these four things oppose the true teaching. What for? Valuing anger, denigration, material possessions, and honor rather than the true teachings. That's interesting. Valuing anger. You see that a lot in like various like professional activist circles, right? They want you to stay angry. Stay angry. See, this is the newest offense for you to be angry about. You if because they know their the view is if you're not angry, you're not going to do anything about it. Valuing anger and where the Buddha is quite clear that there's nothing good about anger. Right? You never see anything in the suttas about valuing anger. How to abandon it, yes, but valuing, no. And the same thing, valuing material possessions. Well, that's a common one. That's obvious. We know that one, right? Um, and honor rather than the true teaching. Interesting. These are four things that oppose the true teaching. These four things are the true teaching. What for? Valuing the true teaching rather than anger, denigration, material possessions, and honor. These are the four things that are the true teaching. A mendicant who values anger and denigration, possessions and honor, doesn't grow in the true teaching like a rotten seed in a good field. But those who value the true teaching, who have lived it and are living it now, these do grow in the teaching like a well-watered herbs. There we go. Let's see the first one. We'll see the first one, and then after that we can do our. Oh, we went to 444, like in the chat. Here you go. Here's the link for you. All right, mendicants, these four people are the found in the world. What for? People who value anger or denigration or material possessions. Lumbagaru? I'm trying to, okay, there's gain. I'm trying to see what he's translating as denigration. Oh, okay, there it goes. Depreciation of another's worth. All right. Or material possessions or honor rather than the true teaching. These are the 4 people found in the world. These 4 people are found in the world. What 4? People who value the true teaching rather than anger or denigration or material possessions or honor. These are the 4 people found in the world. Mendicants who value honor and denigrate anger and denigration, possessions and honor, don't grow in the teaching. That was taught by the perfected ones. Those who value the true teaching, who have lived it and are living it now, these do grow in the teaching that was taught by the perfected ones. All right, friends. So these are very similar. Johnny asks, is there a reason for that, or do the things just repeat the same? Yeah, in the suttas, you will find, especially the Anguttara Nikaya and the Samyutta Nikaya, you will find 10 or 15 suttas where maybe 3 or 4 words are different. So you read it, and often you'll see Bhikkhu Bodhi or Bhante Sujato will ellipse that. They'll make it just like so that the sutta is one sentence, right? It's the same as the suttas before it, but the one sentence is what's different. So that's very common. All right, Diego. Adios, amigo. Oh boy, well, this is the time for everybody to head out. Perfect timing, because this is when we start meditation. When we do our meditation, people tend to book out anyway. All right, friends. So let's do our meditation, and then after the meditation, we will maybe do some Dhammapada readings and do our final business and close out, do our sharing of merits. We'll start by placing yourself in whatever comfortable and stable meditation position works for you, whether on a chair, cushion, couch. We'll spend a few minutes scanning through the body, starting from the feet, moving up to the head. As we scan through the body, we pay attention, put our focus on whatever feeling or sensation arises in that part of the body. We do this for 2 reasons. The first is to slowly bring our mind from the external, focusing into the internal, this mind and body. The second is to be aware of our body, to set our body up in a comfortable and stable position that will allow it to sit as comfortable as possible for as long as possible. So bring your focus, your attention to your feet. What's the feeling of the feet pressing against the floor, the couch, the chair? Moving up through the ankles into the calves. As you're scanning through the body, you may notice a small feeling of discomfort or imbalance in the posture, now is the time to adjust your posture and move your body around to alleviate these small feelings of discomfort. Because these small feelings of discomfort or small imbalances will turn into much larger feelings of discomforts later on. So it's good to spend some time in the beginning setting your posture up as best as possible. Moving up through the knees into the thighs. What's the feeling of the thighs pressing against the floor of the chair, cushion, couch? Up through to the pelvis and hips. Pay attention to the position of the pelvis and hips and how that position impacts both the legs and the spine. This is a very important part of your posture. Bring up your focus and attention up the spine, through the abdomen and the chest. Checking that the spine is not leaning or slouching left or right, back or forward. Ideally, you want your spine to not be engaged, just in a neutral resting position. Up through to the shoulders, checking that they're hanging loosely, not scrunched up and tight. and down through to the elbows and hands. Observing how the position of the elbows and hands also impacts your posture, especially the spine. If you're sitting on a chair or couch, do your best to keep your upper body as erect as possible. Any kind of bending and slouching can have an impact on the freedom of the breath. Place yourself in an upright position so that your body can breathe without any restriction. And finally, up through to the head. Check that the head is also not leaning and slouching here and there, chin parallel to the floor. When you're done setting up the body in a comfortable and stable position, let the body go and take 3 deep breaths. And then let the breath go. From here on in, try not to manipulate or control the breath in any way. This body's been breathing from the moment you were born and will continue to do so until the second you die. It doesn't need you to do its job. Your job is to simply observe, investigate, and abide with the breath. Watch as the body breathes in, watch as the body breathes out. We'll practice some metta today. Practice of metta uses words and visuals, but the words and visuals are just a means to an end. We use the words and visuals, we do the practice, develop a mind free of ill will and hatred, and warm-hearted feelings of friendship for all beings. We'll start our metta with the person whom we may have the most agitation towards, judgment towards, maybe even hatred towards. That person is ourselves. In this meditation, we will be spreading our metta out to all beings in the universe. We cannot give what we don't have for ourselves first. So if you like, you can visualize a sphere circle surrounding you, not much bigger than your body. And as we use the words and visuals, imagine pervading that sphere, filling it up with your goodwill, your friendliness. Repeat the words. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. If you like, you can visualize an image of yourself in front of you, like looking in the mirror. You could say the words to that image. Give your goodwill, friendliness, warm-heartedness, kindness to yourself. Fill that sphere. Repeat, may I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. We'll now slowly begin to spread our sphere ever larger. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of whatever building you're in. However many people, animals, bugs, invisible beings, whatever living beings may be in this building. May all of us in this building find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of whatever town or village you're in. Whatever town, village, or city. May all of us find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere out to encompass whatever state, region, or province that you're in. May all of us in this state, region, or province find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass whatever country you're in. If you have a good image of that country in your mind, you can imagine it completely surrounded, encapsulated by your sphere of metta, pervading all the millions of beings, humans, animals, insects, invisible beings. May all of us in this country find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of this planet Earth. A small blue dot in a sea of darkness, teeming with trillions of beings, the air, land, and sea. May all of us on this planet find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere out into the cosmos to encompass the entirety of the Milky Way galaxy, hundreds of billions of stars, planets, who knows how many beings. May all of us in this Milky Way find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere out into the cosmos, encapsulating the universe and beyond, wherever there may be beings. this universe, other universes, dimensions, who knows? Include all beings in existence in your sphere of metta. May all of us, everywhere, find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Slowly come back through the universe, this galaxy, our planet, country, town, room. Slowly open your eyes. Start to come from the internal back out to the external. Slowly becoming aware of the room you're in and your bodily position in it. Reflecting on how your mind has changed from before this meditation to after. And any experiences you may have had, triumphs, struggles, insights. It's always good to reflect on your meditation a bit after. And while we do that, we'll read some Dhammapada. And if you have any questions or anything like that, you feel free to put those questions in the chat, whoever's left among us. We are coming close to the end of the Dhammapada. We'll maybe another couple Dhammapaloozas, and then we'll start again from the beginning. It's always kind of nice to have one of the last things we do is read some Dhammapada. It's just like a nice, chill post meditation thing, winding down the evening. The monk. Good is restraint over the eye. Good is restraint over the ear. Good is restraint over the nose. Good is restraint over the tongue. Good is restraint in the body. Good is restraint in speech. Good is restraint in thought. Restraint everywhere is good. The monk restrained in every way is freed from all suffering. He who has control over his hands, feet, and tongue, who is fully controlled, delights in inward development, is absorbed in meditation, keeps to himself and is contented, him do people call a monk. That monk who has control over his tongue is moderate in speech, unassuming, and who explains the teaching in both letter and spirit. Whatever he says is pleasing. The monk who abides in the Dhamma, delights in the Dhamma, meditates on the Dhamma, and bears the Dhamma well in mind. He does not fall away from the sublime Dhamma. One should not despise what one has received, nor envy the gains of others. The monk who envies the gains of others does not attain to meditative absorption. A monk who does not despise what he has received, even though it be little, who is pure in livelihood and unremitting in effort, him even the gods praise. He who has no attachment whatsoever for the mind and body, who does not grieve for what he has not, he is truly called a monk. The monk who abides in universal love and is deeply devoted to the teaching of the Buddha attains the peace of Nibbana, the bliss of the cessation of all conditioned things. Empty this boat, O monk. Emptied, it will sail lightly. Rid of lust and hatred, you shall reach Nibbana. Cut off the five, abandon the five, and cultivate the five. The monk who has overcome the five bonds is called one who has crossed the flood. Cut off the five hindrances, abandon the five aggregates, cultivate the five bases of spiritual power. Meditate, O monk. Do not be heedless. Let not your mind whirl on sense pleasures. Heedless, do not swallow a red-hot iron ball, lest you cry when burning, "Oh, this is painful." There is no meditative concentration for him who lacks insight, and no insight for him who lacks meditative concentration. He in whom are found both meditative concentration and insight, indeed, is close to Nibbana. Those of you who've ever been at Bhavana Society, done meditations with Bhante Ji, Bhante Ji ends every meditation with that chant. There is no concentration without wisdom, no wisdom without concentration. One who has both wisdom and concentration is close to peace, emancipation. The monk who has retired to a solitary abode and calmed his mind, who comprehends the Dhamma with insight, in him there arises a delight that transcends all human delights. Whenever he sees with insight the rise and fall of the aggregates, he is full of joy and happiness. To the discerning one, this reflects the deathless. Control of senses, contentment, restraint according to the moral monastic code, These forms the basis of the holy life here for the wise monk. Let him associate with friends who are noble, energetic, and pure in life. Let him be cordial and refined in conduct. Thus, full of joy, he will make an end of suffering. Just as the jasmine creeper sheds its withered flowers, even so, O monks, should you totally shed lust and hate. The monk who is calm in body, calm in speech, calm in thought, well composed, and who has spewed out worldliness, he truly is called serene. By oneself, one must censure oneself and scrutinize oneself. The self guarded and the mindful monk will always live in happiness. One is one's own protector, one is one's own refuge. Therefore, one should control oneself, even as a trader controls a noble steed. Full of joy, full of faith in the teaching of the Buddha, the monk attains the peaceful state, the bliss of cessation of conditioned things. That monk who, while young, devotes himself to the teaching of the Buddha, illumines the world like the moon freed from the cloud. All right, friends. Well, I think this is a good place to end our Dhammapalooza for the night. We'll do our business and then we'll do sharing of merits and call it a night. Okay, friends. So, if you are reading this, seeing this for the first time, and you'd like to um, find out more information or find out when there's more Maggasekha or Bhante Jayasara events, you can go to the website, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, maggasekha.org, Maggasekha. Maggasekha means student of the path, one who follows the Noble Eightfold Path. So Maggasekha.org, top right corner, maybe right here, top right corner there. For those of you looking, top right corner of the screen, you will see a place to put your email. And in that, when you put your email there, you will be sent an email every time I post something new about retreats, live streams, new videos, writings, events, all that kind of stuff. Same thing on YouTube. You click subscribe and click the bell every time I go live. Then you will get a notification, an email. So things that I do, three main things that I do during the week. Four main things, technically. Also depending always on where I am and the ability for me to do them. But for right now, what's going on is Dhammapalooza every Monday night, 8 p.m. New York time. Monday through Friday in the mornings, 8 a.m. New York time, morning monastery experience. This is a half-hour session which simulates the morning puja, the morning session at a monastery, where you have precepts, a little chanting, going over a sutta, a little teaching, a little Dhamma talk. That's a half-hour session. So Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Yeah, 8 a.m. 8 to 8:30 a.m. So join us there. And then also on Saturdays on Insight Timer, if you use Insight Timer, I do an hour and a half session every Saturday, 3 p.m. I'll be doing one this Saturday coming up on patient endurance. And so that's a typical hour and a half session of meditation, Dhamma talk, and Q&A. Okay, friends. So we also have an online community Discord Sangha on the program called Discord. Maggasekha Discord Sangha, Students of the Path, has been going now for 6 years. And we are a group of practitioners who study and practice according to the early Buddhist texts, the suttas. So if that is something you are interested in, you can send an email to the email provided, and you can get a link. You can request to join the group. We also do a weekly sutta reading. We read the suttas together, have been for about 6 years now. Every Sunday at 7 p.m., 6 or 7 p.m. That changes a little bit, New York time. So lots of activities to do. I hope to see you all at these activities. And let's do our sharing of merits. If I can find it. There we go. Hmm. Zoom in here. I just had to do a restart of my computer, so things are a bit off. All right, yeah, I can share a all right. Yeah, I can share a tablet. Not a tablet. I'm tired. I'm being goofy. All right, here we go. Share merit. Dukkha patta chani dukkha, bhaya patta chani bhaya, soka patta chani soka, hantu sabbe pipaniyang, etavata cha mehi sampatang punya sampatang, sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya, akasata jabumata deva naga mahiddika, punyang tang anumoditva charang rakantu sasanam. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit of ours that we've thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddhist dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, friends. Well, Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy and at ease. Practice well and be well. And until we meet again, may you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice. Hope to see you again sometime during the week. Have a good week. Sin says, nice being with you, Sangha siblings. Yes, it's always good to be with the Maggasekha community on Dhammapalooza evenings. Good night.